everybody, and welcome once again to Mistakes, the Quarantine Edition. We're going to be shooting this live, so you're welcome to chat on the side here. We'll keep an eye on it and respond to any questions. For anyone who hasn't watched Mistakes before, here's how this is going to work. We're going to go through a list of movie mistakes from a particular movie. In this case, we're doing The Thing first. And it's up to us to explain how these aren't actually mistakes at all, but we have to explain it within the storyline of the movie. So we can't explain special effects or anything like that. It all has to make sense within the storyline of the movie. I'm your host, Ryan. With me, as always, is my co-host, Eric.
That's me.
And our guest today for our lovely quarantine content creation is Andrew.
Or is it?
Or is it? Is he frozen or really stoic? All right, well, hopefully Andrew will fix that out. We'll fix that momentarily. Or, again, maybe he's just, like, really into this. Like, he's so just on board. He's like, yes.
All the questions. All right.
We're going to do two movies today. The first one is The Thing. We're going to talk about that for probably half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. Then we're going to take an intermission. We're going to talk about The Princess Bride. I think both these movies work for two reasons. One, The Thing is clearly all about infection and asymptomatic aliens. And then The Princess Bride, it's just a really fun story, but the whole bookend of it is how Fred Savage is sick and can't leave. So I was like, that works. He's basically quarantined. All right, let's see if we can call Andrew back here. Everyone gets to watch as I call him back.
All right.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
I heard something. He's gone. He's gone. Let's try again.
All right.
I think it's funny that we talked for half an hour right before we went live and then
flawlessly.
Maybe he just couldn't handle the pressure.
No, I can handle it. I swear.
Oh, okay, good.
There we go.
We have signs of life.
We were only talking a little bit of shit about you. It's fine. Everything's fine.
No, I could hear everything.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm right here.
Well, we're not getting a video, but we can at least hear you, so we can kind of start this part.
There we go. How about now? We're good?
Yay! All right.
Thank you.
So anyway,
I'm
Mistakes.
That guy. Oh, man.
So welcome everyone to Mistakes Live, the show where we disprove movie goofs with a combination of quick wit and bullshit. So, we're going to get into The Thing in a moment. The drink I'm enjoying for The Thing, right here, in the lovely microphone brewing glass, to give them a little love, is actually Jepson's Bourbon. Boom! So, Jepson's is known for making Malort, but they just started doing bourbon, and I figured they drink so much goddamn scotch in that movie, I was like, I gotta have some whiskey on hand to talk about this.
All right. I myself am drinking, hang on, that's the glass, which won't tell you anything, Origin of Darkness by Collective Arts Brewing out of Canada.
Good name.
I felt that was appropriate because they filmed part of this movie in Canada, and also this is part of the Apocalypse trilogy. I think it's the earliest part of the Apocalypse trilogy, so Origin of Darkness. Nice.
Well, what's the rest of the Apocalypse trilogy? You can't just throw that out there and leave it.
I should, but I won't. So it is The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. If you've not watched all three of those movies just in any order in one sitting, you're not doing your quarantine correctly. I'm sorry. You have a gap you need to fill very quickly.
Those are all great movies, but I fucking love In the Mouth of Madness. It is so fucking good. That is a criminally underrated movie. But that's not the goddamn movie we're talking about today. So, The Thing. So we'll start with our hot takes. We'll just kind of our fresh reactions, having recently watched the movie. Then we'll start digging into the mistakes. So first off, I really appreciate that this movie starts almost the exact same way Predator starts, where there's just like a ship flying by. So I feel like that's the 80s way of saying, like, this movie's going to be really fucking cool. Like, we're like, just so you know, we're starting with an alien ship flying by and crashing on Earth, so some shit's going to get crazy.
Yeah, cold open, no explanation, just alien, moving on.
I like that. Like, it's like no explanation, no backstory, just like, shit's about to get weird. This has to be one of the grossest movies ever fucking made. In the sense that it's not like there's a whole other separate category of like gore flicks that are just trying to be disgusting on purpose. So beneath that tier, in regular cinematic, gore tier, this fucking movie is so goddamn gross.
Yeah,
so gross. Like everything's so shiny and slimy.
This movie still sets the gold standard for physical effects because they couldn't cheat anything digitally. So
that's one of the things I appreciate so much about it is it holds up. Like almost everything, 99% of the effects in this movie hold up. And yeah, like you can still tell, like, oh, that's a dummy and that's plastic. But like compared to like if they had done CGI in 1982, this movie would be unwatchable.
Oh, absolutely. Everything's better with puppets.
Yeah,
everything's better with puppets.
So that's also how I define my sex life too. Is that
there we go.
Puppets.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question for both of you actually. So we are of an age where we've had a long time to appreciate this movie, but it came out at such a time that I doubt any of us saw it in the theater.
No.
So I'm curious, what was your first exposure and kind of response to the movie?
So, first off, I'll tell you my father's first exposure to the movie because he still mentions it every now and again that my father saw this movie for the first time at home. So, whatever, mid-'80s, whatever, by then. And didn't know anything about it, so made the very foolish mistake of having a big spaghetti dinner while he was watching it. That's got to be the worst food to eat while you watch the thing. What a terrible, terrible idea. I myself didn't see it till probably early teens, so like early 90s, I guess. And I think I remember having a pretty profound effect on me. A, because it's so fucking gross. B, I'm a dog lover. A lot of parts of this movie are real rough to watch as a dog lover.
Oh, yeah, they are.
But like, I guess because it's such a weird mix of like, it's not quite Aliens or even Alien to some extent, but it's not like straight up horror either. Like, it's not a jump scare. I mean, there's jump scares in it, but it's not a you're being stalked like by this terrible monster. It's such a weird creature, for lack of a better word. Like, this movie's like tense, and it's just this slow burn, and it's just creepy but not scary. Yeah, so it had a pretty profound effect on a young teenage Ryan.
All right.
Mine, I think it was like, oh man, maybe 9 or 10, and it was the made-for-TV version, Saturday night horror flick. After I'm supposed to be in bed type deal. And that's the best version is.
Oh sure.
All the cuss words taken out, all the gory scenes. Like you're missing about a third of the movie with all the gore that's in there, and you're just like, wait, what's going on? Like all of a sudden, like it cuts away, and then like everyone's screaming, and then there's like a puddle of blood on the floor. I'm like, wait, what?
Well, I also feel like
I didn't quite understand the movie until like adulthood or teenager when I finally saw the DVD that came out.
Mm-hmm. Like, the interesting thing about that,
it all makes sense now. There's aliens in this movie. What?
If you're not seeing those super grotesque effects, it kind of makes this movie an entirely different movie about just human paranoia. Like maybe they're just normal humans. There is no alien.
And I love those movies. Is it real or are they just crazy? I love it.
Yeah, like I like that there's an entirely different narrative where there never was an alien. It's just fucking people getting cabin fever and flamethrowing each other.
It's just Kurt Russell, versus Wilford Brimley after one too many days with too little contact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. I think we all know what that feels like. I think I'd be flamethrowing some people right now. So the only last note before we dig into mistakes themselves is I always feel bad for animals in movies like this because there's that one part where like the dog's transforming and the other one of the huskies is just sprayed with this like constant jet of goo, and it's like the fucking dog doesn't know it's an actor. Like that dog is like, what the fuck is going on right now? So I always feel bad for animals in that situation.
All right, so
mistakes.
let's jump in. So, small disclaimer to anyone viewing this. I lost my notes, but I'm just going to roll with it anyways.
Own it.
I like it.
Just going to turn into the skit at this point, so fuck it. We're doing this.
Do it live!
So here's one. I don't remember when, but I do remember in my notes and in my viewing, in the research, as it were, there is a boom mic visible in one of the interior scenes fairly early on.
Okay.
That is the scene where they just found out that the blood had been spilled everywhere.
I think so. It's still early on in the first act.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start the conspiracy theories early on this one.
Ooh.
I think this is like an army base, right? Aren't they like all army guys?
Or a research station.
Right, yes. Right. So I'm going to say that the United States Army. I'm basically going the Burke route with this one. That the Army knew about the thing, and they knew the thing was heading there, and maybe they even kind of orchestrated it. So the boom mic is just one of many recording devices set up, because basically this whole thing is just a fucking
a giant experiment.
Yeah, it's just an experiment. They're lab rats, and they're like, let's see what happens.
That would actually explain a logic loophole I had in watching it this most recent time, which is, okay, this is a weather research station in the Antarctic. Why, for the love of all that is good and holy, do they have flamethrowers and enough dynamite to open a strip mining operation?
I wondered the same thing, because they got a lot of fucking flamethrowers and dynamite.
Grenades.
Yeah. So being like a security officer like they have that has the gun, and then like maybe a shotgun for like self-defense, but like only like one or two at most. Like a fire axe would be beneficial, but more than one flamethrower and enough dynamite to level their own base many times over from the looks of it.
Well, yeah, so I think there's kind of two levels of that. I think the multiple flamethrowers is part of the experiment, right? So that's kind of like, you're watching the rats and like now let's give the rats Pepsi Max and see what happens, right? So it's the same thing. But I think the dynamite wasn't necessarily supposed to be an active part of the experiment. I think that the Army just had that place wired. So, like, as if something went wrong, they just fucking nuked the site from orbit, essentially.
So, I can't remember off the top of my head. Does the John Carpenter oeuvre have like an Umbrella Corporation, a Wayland Yutani? Does it have an?
I don't think so, but I bet we could create one. I guarantee we could draw some lines there.
The idea of making an isolated research station and then just screwing with the variables and watching the results, that's like Vault Tech level of trolling and BS right there. That's
well, you know what? I wonder if the thing, like literally the thing, the creature in this film could be an extension of the things from In the Mouth of Madness, right? The ones that open the gate at the end. Those are really tentacly dudes, so there could be a link there. Just saying.
Some shape-shifting, mistaken identity.
Also, with this idea of that it's an experiment and that they're recording this, there is another mistake when the camera's panning right after Knowles gets yelled at for having Superstition playing too loud. The camera pans, and you can see the reflection of the camera in a piece of glass by where they keep the blood, and you can also see a shadow of the camera too.
So I wonder, and maybe the inhabitants know, maybe they don't, but maybe it's essentially we're watching found footage. Like this is like Paranormal Activity. Like we're just watching like the clips from the experiment because they never really leave. Like with the exception of the kind of the opening shots with the spaceship and the Norwegian helicopter. We pretty much see everything in the base, so maybe it is just like camera 7, camera 23, camera 29. The thing is now a found footage movie.
Like a Cabin in the Woods type deal, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Again, we could change the entire genre of this movie by just doing like little bookend scenes, like they did in Cloverfield, where it's like the Department of Defense little like classified, top secret or above, blah blah blah, Like, do not distribute.
I super want to do that now. I want to like just put it in Premiere Pro, add a couple of supers here and there, and add a couple of jump cuts, and boom, now it's a found footage movie. Okay, so
imagine like if you just
when the infected Palmer starts his transformation into the Thing, he freaks out, and he leaps upward onto the ceiling. There's the whole like, whoosh. When he does that, a piece of paneling also falls up. So instead of stuff falling down from the ceiling, it just falls up into the ceiling. So how is that not a mistake?
So I would say that it's demonstrated later on, like with the Wilford Brimley character, and even to some extent with the dog, that this thing is very resilient. It's very strong for what it is. So it's not that the paneling was falling up; it's that it was propelled up, by this thing smacking into the ceiling. It was basically attempting like a Superman jump, and it just happened to fling something upwards with enough force that it appears to just, fall upwards. Because there's no way it was done in a reverse shot.
Well, of course not. Well, I wonder if maybe there's
a different take on it.
Go ahead.
All right, my take is, what if it does not just imitate living organisms, but also can imitate objects or inanimate objects, as it were? So, like, they blew up the whole base because the whole base could be a thing.
Interesting. That's true, because they talk about things on a cellular level, but who's to say that it can't be like inorganic material that's still carrying it? That's interesting.
Well, also too, this thing clearly, when anything breaks off of it, that new satellite piece has its own motivation, and when Palmer is, doing the whole, gooey, mess thing. Yes, thank you, Andrew. When he's doing that, clearly there's going to be some spray and droplet, splatter. So I think maybe like just a couple colonies of droplets got on that stuff. I was just like, no, screw this, we're out. We've got this piece of ceiling tile.
That's
Get the hell out of here.
So a tiny drop of blood can control X amount of mass.
It can
and be like a little pilot.
The idea that this thing is strong.
Yeah.
It's like, like a few droplets of blood. It's like, yeah, we can move that piece of styrofoam around like we want.
Well, that same scene, the blood shot the petri dish out of Max's hand.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, that scene, you talk about suspense building, where it's like, yeah, John Carpenter building suspense with a pilot light.
Oh my God.
With just the hiss of a propane torch, and you're sitting there going like, oh God.
Well, they also set that scene up really well because they're basically make such a big deal about how they're going to do Gary last. So they really kind of sell you hard on like they're going to find the thing last, and then it's like it's Palmer. It's like, oh my God.
No, it's the stoner base.
So when Copper and McCready find several empty cans labeled kerosene, or kerosene, in like a weird spelling, outside the Norwegian camp. The problem there is the actual Norwegian word for kerosene is paraffin. So basically there was a fake Norwegian word on this canister.
I would say that it's a sorting label. It's just it's an alphanumeric mess. It just happens to spell out kerosene. And and again, if we go with the idea that this is a government experiment, that would actually go towards explaining how can you have a group of scientists this inept,
all right, I'm
all together in one spot.
I'm going to go a different way.
So they look at it and they just, kerosene, and it's in a big drum, it's flammable. So it's like, okay, this is just their sorting code. So it could be like KAR, where it's like, okay, that's code.
Like
it's Norwegian code for store this away from anything that goes boom.
Well, you saying code is taking me a different route.
All right.
So here's where that's taking
me.
So in this Norwegian camp, the Thing, as it's being assimilated, is speaking Norwegian, right? Theoretically, as it.
If it was to move around amongst them,
right. So
assimilated them.
So maybe they maybe the survivors, the ones who are the uninfected, realize that they realize it can speak and read Norwegian, so they kind of like very quickly had to come up with this like other code that like is gibberish outside, gibberish to a normal Norwegian, but like the survivors, the uninfected, know what it means. And something like kerosene, you would because it's so dangerous to the thing and to humans. I'm going to say they kind of created their own. Ultimately, it didn't work. They all died, but created their own little mini code the thing couldn't read.
So they were creating an IKEA version of almost like Pidgin or Patois or Cajun as a survival tactic to outwit the thing.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Which, when the helicopter blows up, this isn't a mistake, but when the helicopter blows up in the beginning of the movie, it's so funny where it's like almost a comedic beat. Where it's like he Wile E. Coyotes it and he throws a grenade behind him and it's like, oh no! It's so fucking weird.
Yeah. I think we lost Andrew again.
I thought he was just really invested in our jokes.
I thought he just really didn't like my joke.
That's right. He'll return. We'll just he can still hear us though, as we've learned. So I would like to just point out that Andrew is a phenomenal human being. Now he's gone. So fuck that guy. Oh shit! I mean, he's fantastic.
There we go.
Okay.
Yay! But no, so I googled kerosene to be like, what the hell does this mean? And like the first four things that come up is surname. So what if kerosene? That's saying that it belongs to someone with the last name Kerosene.
I mean, yeah, you kind of stamp everything with your name in the military, right? So it could be Jorg Kerosene.
What if that was actually not like a code or anything to fool the thing? What if it was just like a shipping designation where it's like, okay, this is going to Camp Kerosene? They just what if the Norwegians just called it, where instead of like Weather Station 26, they called their location, this is Camp Kerosene.
Huh.
Named for a famous Norwegian explorer that we ignorant Americans just never bothered to learn because our history books suck.
Right. So this one is more of a character flaw than it is a mistake. But when they're doing the blood tests, they make a big deal about how incredibly infectious this thing is.
Yeah.
Hashtag COVID-19.
But he purposes for 48 hours, dipshits.
Right. So he cuts. They're cutting people's thumbs, but he just like wipes it off on his pants and then goes to the next guy. So it's like that's the worst. Again, not necessarily a mistake per se, but a pretty glaring intelligence error.
That scene drove me nuts from the time I got to college and going back through college again to become an X-ray tech, where it's like you have to learn just a little bit about like sterile procedure and first aid and sanitation. That shit drove me nuts. But
you have a doctor right there.
Yeah. He's not saying anything, but again, I contend that this group is so inept. They were put together because, again, the government knew it's like, okay, let's introduce the thing into a population of paranoid, rugged individualists, but who have marginal scientific skills. So it's like, yeah, they were just smart enough to pass all their exams. These are the guys that got like passing D grades in science.
What's funny is 80s movies have explained this setup for us and we didn't realize it, because how many 80s movies have we seen where the fuck-up soldier is like, one more slip-up and you're going to Antarctica? Like, that's what happened to all these guys. They're all fuck-ups, every single one of them. So, like, we got the wrong prequel. Yeah, like
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we didn't need the prequel where we saw what happened in the Norwegian camp. We need the fucking Police Academy prequel where we see how all these guys fucked up and got shipped off to Antarctica to the experiment.
Oh my god!
Damn it, Mahoney! Oh god. Okay, so I suddenly want a deep fake recut of the trailer, but with Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow, Bubba Smith, and Bobcat Goldthwait. And I am saying right now, Bobcat Goldthwait has to be the Wilford Brimley character, because you go from that very stoic, prosaic performance of Wilford Brimley to all of a sudden just Zed from Police Academy going, "Oh, I want to come back inside. I feel better now."
Michael Winslow can do all of the sound effects for the thing in the entire movie. Like, he's just the only one doing the sound effects. I like it.
Oh man! All right, let's, for the next one. right in the beginning when the helicopter lands, they're shooting at the dog, and everyone like jumps into the snow. Mac lands in the snow and just gets covered in snow, and his whiskey bottle gets covered in snow. And then next scene, he's running up to I don't remember, Fuchs or somebody, and he and the whiskey bottle bone dry.
Well, so two things. One, I also call bullshit because if you were all a bunch of military dudes on a base, there's no way you're calling that guy Fuchs. That guy is Fucks. No fucking way is anyone saying Fuchs.
Also, it's either that or you're leaning on to the idea where it's like, okay, yeah, it's like he's the one ginger in the camp, so it's like, okay, ginger fucks.
Ginger fucks. Okay, so I'm gonna go two ways with this one. Initially, my gut was gonna say something about like maybe that whiskey is so strong that it like
it just melts all.
It has its own aura, but I'm gonna go a different route with this. So maybe he just has he struggles with this internal cowardice. So he falls in the snow. Okay, he never really gets up and runs from there. That's his like envisioning that a braver man would do this. He's like he's just like fantasizing about how I'm gonna run up and fucking help, when in reality he's just fucking crying covered in snow.
I was gonna just offer a simpler, lamer explanation, which was
lamer than dream sequence magical whiskey. Hit me.
No, it's basically that. So when we first see him pull the whiskey out, he's in his shack and he's got that old chess computer up. And look, old electronics like that, and even electronics today, put off a tremendous amount of heat. So he's using that thing as a space heater. So it's just like it is a nice pre-warmed bottle of whiskey that it's like, oh no, it still has droplets on there. We just don't see them because all the snow is already melted. Because he's basically holding like a hot water bottle, just happens to be glass and full of inexpensive scotch.
All right,
hot scotch.
Hot scotch. I mean, it sounds a little gross, but I guess if you're in the Antarctic.
Right. Okay, look, if you're in the Antarctic long enough where you are watching VHS tapes of The Price is Right and Family Feud, I don't think a little overly warm whiskey is really going to curl your toes at any point.
Hey! Let's make a deal, okay? Let's get this straight.
Okay, Monty Hall. Okay.
So we'll leap to another whiskey mistake.
There are no mistakes with whiskey, but tread carefully. No,
that's true. So when in the beginning, when he dumps the whiskey on the chess game, when he dumps it, he has one big ice cube in the glass. But the problem is, right before that, he grabbed 3 small ice cubes that had already melted as he played the game. So where did this giant ice cube come from?
We don't technically know it's whiskey he's drinking, do we?
Technically, no.
If we're leaning back on the government conspiracy, what if this is just something where it's like, okay, it looks, smells, tastes like whiskey, but has a chemical additive to it, kind of like Cabin in the Woods, where it's like, okay, like the gas that they pump in there to make people stupider or hornier or whatever, where it's like, okay, well, that also affects the water, it affects the whiskey or whatever, and it's just like, okay, it's just going to reform the water very quickly. That's one of the side effects of this additive. Which
is ironic because normal whiskey does make me stupid and hornier. So well, it's interesting that it would have the opposite effect. So, I actually like yours better, but I think my answer would be maybe this is foreshadowing, and this is like, maybe the thing's already in the base at this point, and it's kind of like testing out its reforming purposes, or capabilities on this ice cube. Like, it's inorganic fucking around, so the thing, he's basically drinking the thing at that point. Like, the thing's already in the base, so everything later when they go find it, that's just, that's window dressing for the experiment. But I actually like yours better.
I have a sinister idea based off of that.
Sinister ideas are my favorite.
Turning even further into the skid. If those ice cubes reformed, but they don't show any other behavior, if we go with the conceit that the government knew of the thing prior, what if that's actually those ice cubes? It's the vaccine. It's the antibodies to the thing. So that would be why
must survive.
Like Mac is Mac is the survivor, so the easiest way to inoculate him without changing any variables within this petri dish, which is what the camp is to give him the vaccine without him knowing. They know he's an alcoholic. So, but even though it's made from, cells that they got from this organism earlier or from something else like it, it still had the ability to sort of cling together and reform, but not control itself.
So here's the thing. I think you're close, but I don't think you're quite right. But I think you just gave me what the answer was. Hear me out, which is always dangerous. So at the beginning, when we see the spaceship, right, we're led to believe that's the same spaceship that they find later.
Follows, yeah.
We don't necessarily know that. So it's entirely possible that's a second ship. So hear me out. The second ship, the ship that we see at the beginning of the movie, is the second ship that actually is crashing in our timeline, maybe in the 50s or something. And that...
Like in the original version of the movie?
Yes. But that contains essentially a good thing that's hunting the bad thing that's already on our planet. It's been searching the galaxy for this escaped fucking convict creature. So, but part of its whole thing is that it has to remain hidden. So, like, the ice is the first clue that there's a good thing already in the base as part of the experiment. So maybe there's this good thing kind of... I mean, clearly by the end of the movie, it fucking sucks at its job because it does not do well. But maybe there's a
of its job.
Right. Maybe there's a good the thing.
That's why it got sent to Antarctica.
Earth. So Earth is the Antarctica for alien races, where they're like, if you fuck up, you're going to Earth. Oh, god damn it!
I suddenly really
see. My explanation is way simpler. Is they have limited supply of stuff. Mahoney has, or not Mahoney. Wow, you got me saying it. Mac.
Mahoney.
Mac is literally sipping on scotch the entire movie, and they have a limited supply. So scotch is just super watered down.
Oh, that's fair.
And that is basically the water inside the scotch that has refrozen because they're in fucking Antarctica.
That's a really good point.
So they water down the scotch to make it last longer, and the water freezes, which creates its own ice. And the computer is creating excess heat, so he adds a little bit more ice to it to keep it at a drinkable level.
And the proof is so low already because he's watered this down for so long. Yeah, I'm on.
Not quite as creative as yours, but
still.
So somewhere between there's a good thing and watered down scotch is our answer. I said somewhere. I think we can consider those the extremes, and there's something in the middle there. That's fair.
We'll just kind of sort the truth out from the middle.
Right. So,
there's a range.
Right. You know, throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. In the kennel scene, McCready fires 7 shots from a pump shotgun. That particular shotgun can only hold 5. How's that not a mistake?
Okay, so as someone who actually owns firearms, I will offer this. The ammo capacity of a pump-action shotgun is partially determined by the size of the shells. So if this is something where it's like, okay, it's a government outpost, maybe they're just giving him, again, it's those little variables to try to fuck with them. It's that OCP, Umbrella Corps, Vault-Tec, nonsense where, like, a normal shotgun shell is anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 inches long. Maybe these are like little, like, 1.5 inch, like, stubby, like, shotgun shells. It's like, oh no, purposely made for Arctic warfare.
Ooh.
So
that's like a G.I. Joe answer. Like, you get the Arctic warfare kit.
More ammo in there. Which, if G.I. Joe had made this movie, that shotgun would have been painted white with, like, a giant scope on it for whatever reason. So
I like that. I like the Arctic warfare answer.
I like that one. That's really good.
When Window's head is basically nearly bitten off, he's being chewed on by the thing. He's.
Oh, hang on, Ryan, you're lagging.
I'm lagging? Oh,
it's not me. Oh, yeah. Thank goodness. I thought it was me again.
Right. Yeah, I'll give it a minute.
You kind of went into, like, slow-mo, so just kind of repeat your last sentence.
Okay,
about
so,
Windows.
Well, I lagged on purpose so Andrew didn't feel so bad.
Thank you.
So when Windows is getting his head chewed on by the thing, His screams of pain should sound muffled or barely audible, but we hear them clear as day.
All right, so
go ahead. Eric.
I've got an idea. So we know that like just contact with this thing, you're infected. One touch, you're infected. But they don't really go into like how long it takes to, mimic or assimilate someone.
True.
So I'm just going to say that it was still like Windows's mind, his brain was still under his control. So he's feeling the pain, he's scared, and he's reacting. But the thing is already like, oh, okay, new tissue. I can work with this.
Oh, so you're going like a predator over here kind of thing.
Kind of, but it's kind of just using his anatomy where it's like, okay, I can't stop this dude from screaming or shut him up. But what if like I just try to mute his like mouth here? But what if I put his vocal cords like in like his solar plexus or his abdomen?
Interesting.
So we would hear it as a clear scream, even though it should sound muffled. But he's already, having been infected, the thing's already kind of rewriting his anatomy to its own like extraterrestrial Lovecraftian ideals.
So not only is that a good answer, but it's appropriately fucking gross for this movie, which is nice.
So okay, wait, I'm gonna stop this. His mouth is not in his ass. This is it's somewhere within the rib cage between his belt.
We don't know that. We don't know
that, but I am going to just say it's like not in my theory.
In your headcanon, it is not his asshole screaming. You had me
up until then, Eric. You had me up until then.
Yeah, I was on team screaming asshole. Now you ruined everything. So
if you want to run with the screaming asshole, flogging Molly cover name by the way. If you want to run with the screaming asshole theory, you do you. I'm going to be way back here.
That's fair.
But my idea is slightly different. Focuses more on Palmer, since he's still metamorphosizing, changing. His cellular structure is further apart, therefore it will not block the sound waves because he's actively morphing.
Oh yeah.
All right, so it's like the density of his tissue, whatever.
Exactly.
Not quite as cohesive. Okay.
Look, I'm not here for science. Okay, I didn't sign up for science.
Oh.
Let's get back to the screaming asshole.
You let the man talk. He's
water freezes. What?
Whiskey is tasty. The deuce, you say? Okay.
So speaking of screaming assholes and mouths changing shape, this is a pretty natural segue here. So when in that utterly terrifying defibrillator scene,
okay.
When the like chest mouth closes around his arms. The teeth sever the arm at one point, but the other arm cuts like way up here, like just kind of rips off, which makes no logical sense. Like, wouldn't the teeth be the point of severing? Like, why does it rip off like rubber up there?
I would say that so the teeth line up on one axis, but what's going on inside? Like, they're up until like a few seconds ago, we have to assume this thing was trying to mimic like a human, digestive system of some kind, or at least the internal organs. So if one side sunk in, maybe it's just like it hit, the other, which hand, the left one hit the remnants of the imitation digestive system.
Gotcha.
So like one hand goes in like maybe 4 inches, stops. The other one, it's like, oh, it's just a big empty hole where there's now rib teeth, and it just sinks in like almost up to the elbow, like a good 9 inches.
So it just happened. Well, so I think what I'm going to go with is, there's a lot of like fucking tentacles, spidery fucking shit going on here throughout this film. Lots of really gross tubey appendages. So I would say maybe it's possible that we're only seeing the visible size of those, but again, this thing works on a microscopic level, so it's possible it has these little fucking tendrils that are just so small we can't even see them, but they can kind of just snake up and rip shit off. Again, and maybe that's even how he was like controlling tiles and shit earlier. Maybe there's an aspect to these things that we're not seeing because they're like microfilament, right? They're just like like Elton Lead shit, where it's just like you can't see it, but it's ripping your limbs off.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Also, because in that same scene, when the doc is applying the defibrillators, when he starts, his sleeves are like, well, they're like regular length sleeves. The second he punches through, those things are all of a sudden like just bunched up to his elbows almost.
Then yes, you just proved my point, because what that means is they were so determined, they didn't notice that these invisible tendrils were slowly rolling his sleeves up, because they were like, I don't want to fucking chew on this dude's LL Bean, I just want fucking skin. It's like,
I want flesh.
right, it's like, you know, rolling the fucking wrapper off a burrito so you don't bite the foil, same thing. It's like they just roll those sleeves up so I get all arm. But they're distracted, right? There's a lot going on.
It's like the thing is sitting there going, no, I came here for tissue, not Carhartt. Fuck that.
Anything else you boys want to hit for movie number one?
One last thing. The tool shed with Blair. Probably one of the more obvious things is that when they're nailing the boards on the outside, all the shots of the outside of the tool shed, the boards are horizontal. All the shots the inside the tool shed, the boards are vertical.
Ooh.
That's a hard one.
Do we know who was actually hammering those boards up? Do they show it in?
Oh my goodness. They do show the hammering. I don't remember if they show their face.
Because depending on who does it, they may have already been infected, or they were in the process of being infected, and so to try to play it cool, they're like, it's kind of like when Sam does jumps into his new body in Quantum Leap, and there's always that disorientation of like, oh god, where am I? What do I have to? I gotta. So it's like maybe the thing grabbed that dude when no one was looking, and he's sitting there. It's like, oh, I'm hammering. Screw it, and just instead of going horizontal, it was just like all of a sudden like, yeah, no, nothing to see here.
Nobody's gonna notice.
Totally, just a human here doing something that I was supposed to.
Doing these human things like we humans do.
How about this weather? Why is that in my memories?
The only other thing I would say, it would be maybe they're fucking with space, not like in a quantum way, but like maybe that actual building is sideways when you get inside, just so they can fuck with you.
I was gonna say, like, wait, are we talking like Antarctic feng shui, or are we talking?
Well, yes. So
obviously, the tool shed specifically is a mystery spot.
Yes. And I think the most important lesson we've learned is that if our cover band Screaming Assholes fails, we can then start Antarctica feng shui and just reinvent ourselves, which I think is nice. All right, so I think that's it for movie one. We're going to take a little intermission, probably about 10 minutes, and then we'll meet back here and talk about some Princess Bride.
Ooh.
Get a bit?
All right.
See you.
Show starts in 8 minutes. Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! Show starts in 7 minutes.
It's refreshment time, folks.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on.
Yum, yum. It's a meal in itself. Our all-meat super dog. Enjoy one now.
Show starts in 6 minutes.
As everyone knows, rainbows usually have a treasure at the end. Let's follow this one and see if we can find the pot of gold.
Ah, there, and I suppose you've come to claim me treasure.
Well, we'd like to see the gold first.
Faith, and there's better than gold in here, me lad. No, just look here, no.
Candy, refreshing soft drinks, popcorn, ice cream. Well, that's some treasure, but anyone can buy luscious treats like these at the snack bar.
You don't tell me. Do you suppose you could get me a job as a snack bar attendant?
Show starts in 5 minutes.
We're happy to have you with us this evening and want you to enjoy every minute of your stay here. And while you relax and stretch, visit our concession where you'll find something to please you. There are ice-cold drinks, delicious sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie.
Show starts in 4 minutes.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cooked the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Still plenty of time to come and be served at the refreshment center before showtime.
Show starts in 3 minutes. Show starts in 2 minutes.
Your attention, please. All new hotshot electric in-car heaters have been installed for your comfort and convenience. Just insert heater through car window and turn on the switch. When leaving, please turn switch off and replace on speaker post. Warning, high voltage. For your own safety, do not attempt to repair or remove wires. Do not attempt to open heater unit. If you need assistance, please notify the theater box office or concession manager.
Show starts in 1 minute.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
Show starts in 8 minutes. Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! Show starts in 7 minutes.
It's refreshment time, folks.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on.
Yum, yum. It's a meal in itself. Our all-meat super dog. Enjoy one now.
Show starts in 6 minutes.
As everyone knows, rainbows usually have a treasure at the end. Let's follow this one and see if we can find the pot of gold.
Ah, there, and I suppose you've come to claim me treasure.
Well, we'd like to see the gold first.
Faith, and there's better than gold in here, me lad. No, just look here now.
Candy, refreshing soft drinks, popcorn, ice cream. Well, that's some treasure, but anyone can buy luscious treats like these at the snack bar.
You don't tell me. Do you suppose you could get me a job as a snack bar attendant?
Show starts in 5 minutes.
We're happy to have you with us this evening and want you to enjoy every minute of your stay here. And while you relax and stretch, visit our concession where you'll find something to please you. There are ice-cold drinks, delicious sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie.
Show starts in 4 minutes.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cooked the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Still plenty of time to come and be served at the refreshment center before showtime.
Show starts in 3 minutes.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the second film for our double feature here on Miss Takes Live, the Quarantine Edition. Just finished talking about The Thing. If you're just joining us, what the fuck, you just missed an awesome talk about The Thing. But now we'll be talking about The Princess Bride, one of the greatest movies ever made. Oftentimes when we talk about, on Facebook or whatever, when lists come up or like, not what are the greatest cinematic achievements ever, but what are the movies that you just consider the best that you're going to watch over and over? Princess Bride is going to show up on 90% of those lists. It's just that kind of movie where it ages pretty well. The storytelling's great. Like it's so fucking endearing. I love the shit out of this movie, and I imagine my co-hosts do as well. To reintroduce everyone, I'm Ryan. My co-host, as always, is Eric, and our guest is Andrew. I'm not going to give you the whole rigmarole because we already just did a movie. So we're going to dig right into The Princess Bride and our hot takes. As I mentioned before, the Thing was a good choice because it was all about people being infected and not knowing who's infected. Which, by the way, fucking stay home and wear your masks, people, because one of you could
wash your damn hands.
Wash your hands.
Damn hands.
Wash your damn hands. And The Princess Bride, while at a glance might not seem like an appropriate COVID-19 quarantine movie, literally starts with Fred Savage can't go anywhere because he's sick. So it's a perfect quarantine movie. My first hot take is pretty obvious. It's barely a hot take, but holy fucking shit, Andre the Giant is huge.
Also, water is wet, the sun is bright.
No matter how many times I watch that movie, like when you watch, speaking of Game of Thrones, as we were just a moment ago at a intermission Charles Dance discussion, but when you see the mountain, you're like, that's a fucking big guy. Fucking half Thor is a half Thor, right? I mean, that guy's huge. But Andre the Giant is just this fucking beast. Where, like, the mountain,
like this. Like, just huge.
So the documentary was pretty fascinating. You guys should watch it if you haven't, viewers included. And just the amount that dude drank, but yeah, he was just a different level of human being, and like his fucking thumbnail is the size of my face. Like, the man is a beast. I'm also gonna. Go ahead.
But by all accounts of when he was on set, like the sweetest human being ever.
I very much get that vibe that he's just endearing as fuck. Like, he's intimidating in the sense that he could pick you up and throw you down the block if he needed to, but he's not going to, because what are you going to do to him? Part of it is like...
Andre the Giant was an absolute treasure, and the world is a lesser place without him.
Yes, agreed.
True. Agreed. There was a documentary several years ago, and Mandy Patinkin, who plays Indigo, does not handle heights well. And so the scene where they're going to shoot that the Cliffs of Insanity, and it's the rope climbing, he was legit having a panic attack as they were setting up for that.
Really?
And by his own account, Andre the Giant is the one who just sat there with him the entire time, just going, "It'll be fine. We got this." And just, actually, kind of just, arm over the shoulders, like, "Little buddy."
Yeah, I can see that.
So the friendship they had, by all accounts, that developed on the set continued well after, because he was, Andre was just, that incorrigible and that ingratiating.
Just a goddamn magical human being is what he was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to crib something, because it's like a random tweet I've seen shared in the past, but it struck true with me as I watched this, that especially in 80s movies, the movies of our collective youth, really thought quicksand was going to be a bigger deal in our everyday lives than it turned out to be, because relatively recently watched Neverending Story, to the Swamp of Sorrows, and I just watched Blazing Saddles, made my children watch Blazing Saddles a couple days ago, which means I have questionable parenting skills, but I defend them. But yeah, 80s, quicksand was such a bizarre 80s staple. Like, I can't think of any 90s movies that had quicksand, but every other 80s action movie had quicksand. What happened to quicksand? Where is quicksand now?
How did it hurt you?
What?
Where? Show me on the dial where the quicksand touched you.
I feel like quicksand didn't age well. I guess like it's just quicksand is an '80s thing. Like, what's the most recent movie you've seen with quicksand?
Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It
sounds like
the fanfic film.
Oh, okay.
Starring Harrison Ford and Shia LaBeouf, borrowing from the intellectual property titled Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Well, it's weird that you're specifically mentioning a nightmare I had that there was a fourth Indiana Jones movie. I must have told you about that while I was drunk. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
I'm sure I have it in my text somewhere. It's fine. Sorry to bring that out on public, but I mean, you asked.
You realize that you just doomed us to a future episode of Mistakes where we somehow explain that Crystal Skull is a flawless movie. You did this to us, Eric. This is on you.
I don't have to be there.
No, you don't. You don't. But this motherfucker does. Which way are you? This way? No, this way. Fuck you!
Other way. Let me check.
Other way.
Let me check my diary.
Fucking guy.
I seem to be watching television on whatever day you're thinking of for that.
Mm-hmm. Bitch, I know where you live. Anyway, my last hot take before we dig into the mistakes, because it's not a mistake, it's just a thing that has bothered me every time I've watched this movie, which is a billion times. In the fire swamp, when Wesley's attacked by the RUS, and not doing great at the beginning of the fight, right? It's kind of kicking his ass, and it bites him. He has that weird pause and then screams. Fucking Buttercup just stands there. Just stands there the whole time. And he's like, oh, that looks like it sucks.
With my wife, and my wife was literally screaming at the TV the whole time, why are you so useless?
Like, fucking Jesus Christ. Like, that, like, and the funny part is, like, the movie, you know, gender roles wise, it's pretty traditional, but I mean, it paints her as a pretty strong, independent woman for the most part. But that part, she's like, ew, rats! I hope you win, Wesley! Fucking come kick it, bitch!
Let's just get into it from there. She has been, like, courted or, like, just at least living with Buttercup in the Capitol, you know, as effectively as royalty,
right,
for at least several months.
Yes.
You know, call it a year at least. I don't know. So she's gotten to some level used to.
Oh, hey, we lost Andrew.
I'm sure you can hear.
Keep going.
So it's like she's gotten just a little bit used to servants or someone else taking care of stuff. Like, oh God, a rat! Hang on, my lady, I'll get it. And just so she actually has to kind of reset her way of thinking just a little bit, where it's like, oh wait, no, I used to kill these things on my farm every other damn day.
Okay.
Here's this log. Yeah, it's like
so
to get back into practice.
So you're mistaking my hot take. I like it. So basically, it's like she's so conditioned that, like, someone spilled the soup, someone will come clean up this soup, that she has to I need to help.
Pantry I saw.
All right.
A servant will get that. Yes.
Okay. Fine. I will allow it.
Actually, so I'm curious, did anyone here besides myself, because this is one of the earliest movies I remember vividly seeing in the theater with my folks.
Oh, you forgot you guys are young. Gross. Go on.
So anyone else is like, and I just remember I was with Fred Savage, like, okay, look, can we skip the kissing scenes? I was totally with him, because I was about the same age. So it's like, I got it. I was with him all the way on that. But anyone else's first takes, you know, when you saw it in the theater, later on in life, you know?
So my parents didn't take me to see a lot of movies when I was little. I was not the best behaved child. So once again, this was a made-for-TV edited first experience for me.
I like the sheltered Andrew stories. That's a whole separate thing we need to explore at some point. We need to watch your cuts of movies.
You know my theory. I've told you that's another time, but I've told you my theory on starting like good series and the third season. It's the same thing. But yeah, so my first experience is a made for the TV edit that was recorded poorly, so it's missing even more because we stopped on the commercials and then pressed play, and sometimes we weren't quick enough. So. So again, there were parts I was very confused about until I saw the actual VHS. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense now.
That's fair.
but this is top of my list. Favorite movies, always has been. I wanted to be Wesley for the longest time, and I think
everyone wanted to be Wesley. I've grown into a six-fingered man, is all I can pull off now. But
yes, you have.
But everyone wanted to be Wesley. That was like the kind of the epitome of like every. They always say like every woman wanted him and every man wanted to be him. Like that's pretty much everyone watching The Princess Bride. You either want to fuck Wesley, be Wesley, or both. Like that's just how that works.
Basically.
I did see it in theaters, but I was the same way. Little Fred Savagey, not in the kissing parts, I wasn't worried about that, but literally the name was so off-putting to me. I was like, why the fuck do I want to see something called The Princess Bride? That sounds...
Yeah.
That's like girly thing plus girly thing. I don't want to go see that at all. And then, then I went to the theater, I was like, oh, never mind, this movie's amazing.
Yeah, it's like your first real introduction to the perils of this world. It's like, wait, screaming eels? All right, fuck it, I'm in.
Yep.
Oh, just the sword fighting alone. Oh my goodness, that is what got every kid who's ever watched it into sword fighting.
Well, this is one of those rare movies where it kind of has something for everybody. Like, and they know that, where it's like, you want to see sword fighting?
They said it right at the beginning. It's just
yeah, it's like just
fencing, fighting, torture, escape, true love, miracles.
That is an amazing Peter Falk.
I thought he was here. I was amazed.
Grandpa?
It's like that old joke about like Chicago weather. Like if you don't like Chicago weather, wait 5 minutes. It's like if you don't like what's happening in the movie, just give it 5 minutes and you'll like the next scene. It's fine. Like this is too romantic, or this is too funny, or this is too actiony. Just wait. It's fine. So your Andrew, your previous movie was Willow, and
yes.
Which I know I haven't edited it yet. I know I'm going to get there. Jesus
no one
Christ.
knows that was my previous movie.
Your previous movie, which technically is your next movie. So the previous movie that we know is your previous movie that none of them know is a previous movie because it's their next movie that you'll be in, unless we do this again with you because I'm so lazy. Anyway, it's interesting.
It's a really good episode, guys.
Really good. Just wait. It's interesting how there's a lot of similarities, even like just time-wise, like when they came out. But Princess Bride ages pretty fucking well. Willow, not as well.
It ages.
Okay. Willow had a lot more visual effects than special effects. Princess Bride had like next to zero visual effects. Everything was done with special effects, puppets and costuming and setting and props.
I think it's one of those things where both kind of the combination.
I think they're still both great.
Oh no! I love Willow. I don't mean to demean Willow at all. I mean purely from people that aren't us. If my children had never seen either, if I made my children watch Princess Bride tomorrow, they would love Princess Bride. And so, my dog. Hey, my mail's getting delivered right now. If anyone's curious. Ripley!
USPS.
Ripley, you're the worst.
We love you, USPS.
Okay, but Willow's aggressively an 80s movie in the way that it's really slow and it has really 80s effects, so I think Willow is a harder sell on current audiences if you don't have the nostalgia built in.
Yeah.
It's also grittier than Princess Bride. Princess Bride is a feel-good movie.
Yes.
It doesn't get too dark. It doesn't get, too violent. It's a feel-good, lighthearted movie, and those historically age really well.
Yes.
Yeah, for a comparison, in Willow, there's a character that we're introduced to. I'm not going to give spoilers, but it's like there's a character that when we're first introduced to him,
30-year-old movies.
Okay, so the character of Eric, he mocks Mad Mardigan, and his first introduction is it's like, okay, this guy's a douche canoe with a mullet and like a sword gauntlet. Yet when he croaks, it's kind of moving. Like there's some emotional weight there. When we watch Vincini die, you laugh.
Oh,
So it's like
that's interesting.
Line, and it works. So
is that the only real death in this movie?
No. Spoiler alert. Rugen?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and theoretically countless guards, but
yes.
But they're the red shirts.
Like named, so named characters.
I think it's only 4. I think it's only 4 guards. Like there's very little death.
The ones in the hallway.
Yep. I think that's it. I think there's only like 6
Oh
deaths.
yeah, because the other ones run. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's 2 legitimate named deaths, and one is played for comedy, and the other one is revenge porn. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Huh. I never realized the bizarre duality of death in this movie. Anyway, we should probably get to the mistakes, because that's the whole point of this. All right.
Right?
We could also just talk about Princess Bride for the next 3 hours. Oh, and I should mention my beer. So 2 things. One, I'm enjoying a morning latte from Toppling Goliath. It's a delightful beer. Now, this beer doesn't particularly have anything to do with Princess Bride, but it's a really good beer. I am drinking out of my Princess Bride glass. However, what I realized is I poured a stout into it. So, so I'm going to drink more, and then I'll show you what the glass says, because I'm an idiot. And I poured a black beer into a glass with black writing. So,
Andrew, what are you partaking of?
I am drinking Super Tuscan from Cooper's Hawk. Because the main city is Florin, which is a fictional representation of Italy.
I'm kind of jealous. I don't think I've ever had a Super Tuscan, and I've heard about them.
You know what? It's really good. Cooper's Hawk has them, and I enjoy it.
Okay, so wine geek moment. Since I spent over 10 years jockeying a register at a wine shop, a Super Tuscan is any blend of wine where the predominant grape is Sangiovese, which is the grape that is used in Chianti. I believe it fluctuates, like 75% or more. You can play with the numbers any way you like. So mostly Sangiovese, and then any other varietals you want to throw in. So Cab, Merlot, Zin, whatever. So that's a Super Tuscan.
Well, I'm jealous. Oh, and also pretty appropriate because Andre the Giant was famously a fucking person who would crush wine. Oh, did we lose Andrew? I thought it was really invested. Oh no! All right, well let's keep talking about wine and then it goes back.
My drink, I have a very decadent Rob Roy. But I'm using my, I'm not going to get it because my headphone cord isn't long enough, but I'm using scotch that is way too good to be mixing, and vermouth that's way too pricey to just be throwing away, and Peychaud's bitters. So, I'm sorry, pinky up, I'm sorry.
There you go. Be fancy, goddammit. This is a fancy show. Andrew is a professional, as we discovered earlier. We aren't, but he is, son of a bitch. All right.
From me on screen, I don't do fancy, so I'm
in my man cave of games and anime stuff.
You're gonna have to grade me on a curve here. So
man cave of games.
Okay, so mistakes that are not mistakes. So when Inigo and Wesley are dueling, they're making all these crazy jumps. Great scene, right? But when they land on the ground, you can see the mat underneath the dirt wrinkling because there's a mat there. But of course there's not a mat there because it's not a movie. So what is happening there?
Actually, I have a theory on this because it's not just the mat. Because when they go to the edge of the cliff after they cut the rope to look over and see if the man in black is still climbing, the rock that Andre the Giant steps on kind of folds in as if it's made of foam. Ooh. So this is a special mineral located only in this area, the Cliffs of Insanity, that's softer than normal rock, which is why it's called Cliffs of Insanity, because it's the stone is so soft.
Interesting.
Yes, I was gonna say yes. So the Cliffs of Insanity, it's not because they were so ridiculously high or perilous. It's because trying to watch them to get an idea of what they are, it just kept morphing ever so gently that if you tried to stare, it's like trying to look at a Magic Eye poster that doesn't have anything there. You just kind of sit there looking at a spirograph thinking, this means something. And no, you're just going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole.
Holy shit, I so like this answer. Like, it's the cliffs of gaslighting. Like, you think you're crazy because you're like, this should be rocks and dirt, but why the fuck is it moving like this? Oh my god. Okay. I wholeheartedly approve of this answer.
It's like, look, see? The cliffs of gaslighting!
oh my god, that's fucking great.
Inconceivable!
Yes, it's inconceivable that the dirt would move like that. But so that makes sense that why they would go there. Oh my god.
It's the one time he used that word, it meant what he actually meant. So.
I like it.
Also, that same scene, Vizzini cuts the rope like right up next to the rock, and then when the shot comes back, the rope is about like 5-6 feet. It's cut 5-6 feet away from the rock.
So the rope grew.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to say is that they had a mechanism built into that rock. So it kind of looks like it's just tied into like it's just tied around the rock. But realistically, they knew they were coming here, right? Like that was part of the plan the whole time. So I'm going to say that the rock is just kind of hiding a winch inside there, so that they had more rope if they needed it. And maybe there was just the winch just kind of like backfired a little bit, so it kind of fed out more than they needed. It kept spitting rope out. But it basically that's how that's what it was. It's this rock that's feeding rope, and it just fed a little extra because it's imperfect. It's medieval times engineering, right? So.
Also, if it's a winch that was built into the original fort, that thing has been sitting there weathering and just rotting for who knows how long. So the braking mechanism may not be top notch anymore. So.
Well, it's like when you pull out like plastic wrap, you rip some off, you kind of fuck it up a little bit, and like a bunch of more.
That little streamer.
Same thing. I mean, it's just imperfect engineering for their winch rock.
All right, so I, much like the last film, I lost my notes for this, but there is a scene where yes, I know, we're just doing this. Fuck it. There's a scene when Wesley and Fezzik are wrestling, when they're having their duel, and at the end of it, once Wesley is triumphant, there's a scene where when Fezzik falls, there's a rock like right near his head, and when Wesley rolls him over onto his back, the rock is nowhere to be seen near his head. So,
I think this is just a character answer. I think Fezzik was never actually knocked out. He barely wanted to fight Wesley in the first place, right? So he kind of just pretended to be knocked out, but he's like, oh shit, he's gonna roll me over, and just shoved the rock out of the way. And Wesley was like, I'll pretend I didn't see that. But yeah, realistically, like. Fezzik was not going to be beaten. Even though he made the joke of like, and maybe that was his fake excuse. He's like, I'm used to fighting lots of people. I'm not used to fighting just one. He's like, I'm trying to explain to you, Wesley, if I can beat multiple people, I can kick your fucking ass. I'm taking a dive right now. I hope you understand that.
So, yeah. I just want to dream about large women and just get you the hell away from me, because this is not what I signed up for. Just, I'm going to take a nap. All right, yeah. Okay,
he's like, I'd rather lay down and pretend you won, but I'm going to move this giant rock out of the way because I'm incredibly strong.
And also, I don't like concussions.
And that.
Ryan, forgive me, I'm going with the science route again.
Goddamn science!
So, when Andre the Giant, Fezzik, is a giant. He's a large man. So when he fell, it created like a shockwave and rumbled the ground. And if you see in the wide shots, that ground is not even. So it jarred that rock loose and it rolled away.
No, I'm good with that. I accept your science.
Much like a seismologist sent out the what is it, the P and S waves, the primary and secondary waves, where it's like, oh no, it's like a shock wave. It's an area of effect. It's just
yes.
Yeah. All right, that's fair.
when Buttercup and Wesley are talking on the hill when he's Men in Black and reveals that he's the Dread Pirate Roberts. Behind Buttercup, you can see a very modern-looking houses in a modern-looking village.
So at the distance they're showing those houses at, it's like, okay, yeah, they might resemble, but I mean, don't forget, there's cities in Europe where it's like, oh, look at this, historic architecture. It's like, yeah, no, it's like what, 200-300 years old. So, not that it looks modern. It's just that we only perceive it as modern because we don't have anything that old in America.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And it's like, and nothing has really changed in that depiction of Europe.
Architecture was so good at the time.
Right.
It just looks like
timeless. It is not.
Yeah.
Right. So our modern architecture is essentially retro in a sense. It's inspired by that, and there wasn't a lot of them, right? I mean, it was
a ripoff of the stuff that came before. They just happened to do it right the first time in that shot.
Right, and it was and good on them for being able to represent that accurately. I appreciate it.
This would be the same, like from a clothing standpoint, this would be like watching an Old West movie going, hey, they've got designer jeans on. No, fuck you. Those are dungarees. They just haven't changed in this many years.
So, by the way, as a side note, again, not a mistake, but she should have fucking recognized Wesley at some point along the way there. Like, I know he's kind of being a dick.
His voice did not change at
all.
Yeah.
That's clearly the farm boy that I banged 14 times. I should probably remember some part of this.
Yeah, this is the farm boy I was passive aggressive with for umpty-ump number of years until I realized, oh, he's the only decent dude within a 500-mile radius. Yeah, love of my life, I can't hear the audio cues because of a mustache and a mask.
You know what, though? I'm gonna mistakes my own, again, not mistake right there. That maybe it's something where, again,
this is a first, ladies and gentlemen.
so much like when she didn't help Wesley in the fire swamp, it was because she was so used to just not doing anything that in that Humperdinck lifestyle, she was so used to just not registering servants and not registering people that weren't her level. She's like not even processing this information. It's like, you are the fucking help. You are just a fucking scrub. And I think Andrew froze, or he loves this joke. So I would say he's just totally on board. But yeah, I think it's basically like she's like, oh, like I don't even. You're a fucking pleb. Like I don't have to look at you, pay attention to your voice. You're garbage. And then like slowly, as the real Buttercup returns, like that "As You Wish" is like that fucking like catalyst that brings her back to true Buttercup. And she's like, oh. Shit!
It's like the reverse Manchurian Candidate, where it just snaps her out of the conditioning, and it's like,
right.
Wait, I'm self-aware. I have agency, and I can do shit on my own.
Well, and it's like that whole like they've done practical jokes before, where like the average consumer doesn't pay any attention to the person serving them at the register or whatever. So like they can change that person out in a single transaction, and the regular person won't notice it. Same thing. She's not even registering anything.
So she's entitled, is what we're saying.
Yeah, she's entitled. Hashtag white privilege. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Buttercup is a Karen, and she gets de-Karened as the movie progresses.
Buttercup, the basic bitch of Florence.
Ooh, speaking of that exact scene, when they tumble down the hill, Buttercup, or as Humperdinck says, Buttercup, has a beard. How is that so?
Okay, so Robin Wright Penn, who plays Buttercup, and the character of Buttercup herself, has that really long, just luxurious hair. You know, the IMDb goofs say it's a beard. I say it's just, her totally not extensions just whipping around and...
Well,
because she is tumbling. She is tumbling. So that's perfectly logical.
So
maybe she picked up moss on the way down the hill and got just face planted and picked up moss or dirt or something, and it looks like a beard.
And also, there's another in that same scene. There's another goof that everyone was quick to point out, going, "She loses a sash, and then she totally has another one." It's like, no, it's called material wealth. That dress has got to be like 7 or 8 layers deep, where it's just nothing but sashes and petticoats.
You have emergency sashes. It's like disposable sashes.
Not even emergency. It's just like, look, I can wear all this shit, and that's how rich I am. Look, gaze upon me and behold in fear.
Right. Playing off the appearing facial hair, Wesley's mustache from take to take changes shape and sizes. It goes from like long past his lips to inside his lips to one side long, one side short. Yeah, like it just can, like, throughout the entire film, it changes sizes and shape.
All right, so I'm gonna go a gaslighting route again with that, but hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh my! I feel so terrible that we are taking such a wonderful upbeat movie and we are applying gaslighting logic to this. But
I'm not saying he's gaslighting. I'm not saying he's gaslighting Buttercup, but gaslighting is kind of built into the Dread Pirate Roberts persona, where you literally gaslight an entire crew when you switch. So maybe it's something where he's kind of conditioned to keep fucking with his mustache because people be like, well, Dread Pirate Roberts has a long mustache. Like, no, Dread Pirate Roberts has a small mustache. No, Dread Pirate Roberts has a mustache kind of this way. So he's just conditioned to keep fucking with it because it's part of the gaslighting. Is like, if nobody's right, everybody's
don't know what Pirate Roberts actually looks like.
Right. So it's like everyone has like a different definition. So you kind of keep changing those features because there's also mistakes about how his hair keeps changing. Same thing. It's like he's just used to constantly changing it. Because it's like,
as soon as someone looks away, he makes a change.
Right,
and look back.
So he's like the John Malkovich character in The Line of Fire, where it's like everyone who sees him, it's like, no, it's a bald dude with stringy hair and a goatee. It's like, no, it's a heavy-set dude with like a full beard and like almost a shaggy fro. So it's just him constantly. I was actually just going to go with the idea that no, that is the actual like totem or like the source of power for the Dread Pirate Roberts is just, okay, growing a mustache, we do the ritual, it's never going to look the same, but that protects your identity. It's
100%. It's built into the character that if
it's like everyone's like, no, it's the mask, it's the cowl, it's the sword, it's the ship, it's the pirate flag. No,
it's the mustache.
It's the mustache. Once you grow it in, they do a little incantation because we know that magic exists in this world. In this reality, magic exists, so it's like, no, you just grow the mustache in, you say the words, and all of a sudden, instant anonymity.
I like it. Because if no one can describe the Dread Pirate Roberts, anyone can be the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the fact that it's literally a magical mustache. That's like the boon that you get when you accept the title. Which means that we've also accepted the canon now that Inigo now has this ever-shifting mustache, which is nice.
Hey, why do you think he was chosen as the candidate? Is it his swordsmanship, his thirst for revenge, his need to... No, impeccable facial hair.
Like, you can crush a stash, therefore you can be the Dread Pirate Roberts.
It's like, you don't need to fight a damn lick with your sword. It's like, can you be charming, smug, and also grow a mustache? Yes? Okay, you're in. You're through the door. Let's do this.
I want to bring it back to Cliff's Insanity real quick.
Do it.
When Vizzini and his posse dock at the rocks and they're loading up, they're strapping Andre into the harness. If you look at the boat, the bow, the thing that comes off the bow gets caught on a rock and then just starts wobbling like it's made out of rubber.
Well, that's easy to explain.
Okay. I never noticed it until like I watched it this time. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is the reason they're so surprised a boat is following them is that it's not just about eel-infested waters. It's that the actual liquid itself, the viscosity of the eel-infested waters, is such that you can't sail a normal boat through them. You have to build a special boat that can handle the bizarre waters, the bizarre, viscosity, for lack of a better word, of those eel-infested waters. You have to have a rubber ship that can deal with the tides and the currents, Because if you sail a normal ship in there, it's fucking gone. The eels eat you. So they're like, of course no one's going to fucking follow us through eel-infested waters because you need a fucking rubber boat to do it.
Guys, I need you to stay with me on this one. All right, I just had an
epiphany? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We love epiphanies. Come on.
So I'm connecting the movies.
Ooh.
With, the Cliffs and Sandy. Remember that they are, this magical shifting rocks?
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing. And it infected the boat, which made the boat also...
It's a fossilized thing.
Yes. And the boat is now a thing. Which also explains why it kind of just sails away before Dread Pirate Roberts gets there.
I was actually just going to say...
I ruined Princess Bride.
No.
Everyone in Princess Bride is now the thing.
I will not watch the movie and be like, are you the thing? Are you the thing?
Oh, Count Rogan is definitely the fucking thing.
Absolutely.
He's just a six-fingered psychopath.
I was going to say, he grew a sixth finger and then it was too late. He's like, fuck, I assimilated wrong. Well, I gotta fucking I gotta lean into it now.
Fuck it, I can own this.
Yeah,
I can make this work.
I'll make this part of my fucking story.
Where the machine comes from.
It's based off the engine manifold of my ship. We're just gonna use it to suck life out of you.
And they do say that the initial
sail off another planet.
Like the initial crashed ship was there for 100,000 years. So yeah, that's entirely possible timeline wise. You're not wrong.
So like the only thing I had to go with that one was that the shrieking eels and everything else that was actually just like the medieval imagining of like the creatures from Deep Rising or something, or Leviathan, where it's just like, So I am totally on board with that. Not a theory. We've proven it. So
yeah, nothing's a theory. We're discussing facts right now. We're discussing truth. Everything we say is
science.
Duh. Okay, I'm not gonna say science. I will not put my name on that. So plot hole question for you lads.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, well, of course. When Buttercup finds fucked up Wesley in her bed, and which, by the way, he waits way too long to stop her from killing herself. Like, he really fucking milked that one. That could have gone south. But that's neither here nor there. She says, "Oh, sorry, I already married him," and he's like, "No, you didn't. You didn't say I do." Motherfucker wasn't there. So how does he know that she didn't say I do, and that Humperdinck sped it along?
Because he knew she wouldn't. It's true love. She made a mistake once when she thought he's dead. He drove a point. He was a dick to her right before he revealed himself. He made a point. It's like, I'm gonna gaslight the fuck out of her to make sure she doesn't forget about me again.
Okay, I'll buy that. So basically, he's like, he's kind of guessing, but he's like, there's no fucking way you said I do. There's no fucking way.
If you did, I have to be way meaner to you.
So actually, how dramatically would that change the end of the movie? He's like, you didn't say I do. She's like, yes, I did. It's like, oh well, guess I'm heading out.
Bitch.
You bitch.
We just had a talk on top of a hill about this.
Sounds like Fezzik got one too many horses because you ain't coming with us.
You're going to stay right up here on this roof. No, I have an idea about this. So this actually revolves around one of the greatest side characters of any movie, the priest. It's Peter Cook. Marriage. So, I mean, we'll find you. So I'm willing to bet this guy is not exactly like the best priest in the land. He just happens to be the one that resides there. So if
the only one.
So here's the thing. Go with me on this. Wesley has been the Dread Pirate Roberts for a couple of years at this point.
I know this is going. I fucking love it. Tell me more.
He knows the ins and outs of like the various kingdoms, and it's like, oh, okay, at this season we pillaged them, and this season we pillaged those guys. So the priest is one of Wesley's informants.
My man. Fuck yes, I was just thinking that.
Like, he's, yeah, he's a drunken, slurring, bumbling idiot, much like, call pot and kettle. So
it's not even an informant. He fucking planted him. He knew he was going to be so bad.
As soon as the ceremony is quote unquote over, and he just says man and wife. It's like, okay, yeah, he's hot-tailing it through all the secret passages, because we have to assume castles like that have secret passages, because they do. And he's just running right up there going, okay, hang on. He said bedchamber, this one. Okay. Oh, yeah, by the way, she totally didn't say anything. Where's my booze? Thank you. What? All right.
No, but I think it's more. I think he was allied with Wesley the whole time. He was planted there to be shitty on purpose. To be so bad and
draw it out,
it up,
give him
draw
time.
it out.
I'm not here to stop the wedding.
Right.
Draw it out as long as possible. Do not marry her.
Well, yeah, not only draw it out to buy time, but that they knew that Humperdinck was so fucking impatient that if he went marriage is what brings us together, Humperdinck would say speed it up. They would skip it. He was a fucking plant. He's a fucking ally of Wesley.
Yep.
That wedding was never gonna even if he didn't speed it up, that priest was never
a member on the pirate ship Revenge.
Oh my god! Ooh! Check this shit out. That priest was the former Dread Pirate Roberts.
Ooh. Because they do say, okay, so the original one was living like a king in Patagonia, and then he says that the other one. Oh, now wow, Ryan froze.
Oh no, I was just holding my pose.
No, he's just holding it.
I was just not happy about it. I was just holding out of joy.
King in Patagonia. The next one was his name was I think it was Breyer or something like that. So it's like was it Monsignor Breyer? Padre Breyer set himself up as the priest of marriage in Florin.
That was like his parting gift. Is like, I'm gonna go fuck up this broad's marriage.
Also, this ties into Wesley talked about Buttercup incessantly, and that's what spared his ass on the boat.
That's true.
So maybe he was so impressed, he went, you know what? All right, you're gonna go get her. You're gonna need an inside man.
Solid. Yeah.
Give me 3 months. Let me go set myself up as the vicar of Florin.
Well, and realistic.
When I send you word, you find her, bring her. If there's ever a point where it's like they're gonna marry her off to try to thwart you, I got you.
Well, and it's not even like Humperdinck would fucking Humperdinck seemed pretty surprised by this fucking dude's repertoire. So that was just coin changing hands of here's a bunch of money. I'm this really important religious figure from this other country. I'm gonna come do your wedding. They'd be like, okay, cool. So yeah, that's the former Dread Pirate Roberts. It's like his last fucking hurrah before he pieces out into retirement was to fucking buy time. Canon. Fact. Done. Happened.
All right. There's a couple with the ROUS fight.
All right.
Which, by the way, just not interrupting, but as an interjection.
Go ahead, interrupt.
When interjecting, I did not understand, and I blame Robin Wright Penn for this. I did not understand in my youth she was saying ROUS as rodent of unusual size. I thought it was this long word of RUSs, like this fucking French word. And I was like in my fucking late 20s, oh, ROUSs. Bitch, read your line slower. All right, anyway. Continue.
and without the Ren Fair affectation.
Right.
I am not saying that to slander any Ren Fair enthusiasts. I'm just saying for the sake of comedic tone.
Fair. I was in Ren Fair, you're fine.
We're laughing with you, not at you.
Right.
So first off is when the RUS goes after Princess Buttercup and grabs her dress, you can see a hand silhouette holding the dress in the rodent of usual size's mouth, even though she's using her hands to scoot away.
Okay, so as an ROUS, yes, they're rodents, but does that necessarily restrict them to having zoological or anatomical limitations on maybe having extra appendages or defensive mechanisms for feeding?
Well, the silhouette, the silhouette of the hand is coming from Buttercup. It's coming from her direction, like feeding it, like a third party is feeding it to it.
Oh, coming from her dress.
Yeah.
enchanted dress, because this dress undoubtedly came from Humperdinck. He wanted her gone, so this is enchanted with a malignant spirit that is meant to help steer her towards death.
Fuck yes! Oh my god, I love this curse. It's a cursed dress. So basically,
He's been planning her demise for so long. It's like, I don't care. Falls down a well, pushed off a cliff, murdered by brigands, kidnapped, left for dead on the border so I can have a war. I don't care. Want her gone.
The funny part is, one of the other mistakes that I had down was that when one of the fire bursts comes up, it's not anywhere near her dress, but her dress catches fire. Yes. Holy shit! This dress is trying actively to fucking kill her. So, like, if she walked by a fucking car, it was gonna catch the bumper and she'd be dragged. Like, that's just, oh my god, what an evil dress.
So mine actually ties in a little bit with the next mistake of when the RUS catches fire, you see a crew member come out from behind a tree right before it cuts away. It's obviously a person like underneath the tree roots. You can see step out, probably fire. But in the escape of the movie, what I'm thinking is there's another poor soul lost in the fire swamp who's following Wesley and Buttercup, trying to find his way out, but he doesn't want to let them know because he doesn't know if they're going to attack him.
Yeah.
So when they get attacked by ROS, is at first he tries to like help her out by actually trying to pull the dress out, but still staying hidden. And then when he realizes that, oh no, they're losing, fuck this, he like tries to escape. And then,
they're never getting out of here.
No, I think you're both right. I 100% believe malignant dress. Like this, because of...
There's no way it can't be, right?
There's clearly that dress is trying to murder her. But I do...
Probably has eel bait on it as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, this actually circles back to the beard. No, it's the dress wrapping around her neck trying to off her in the fall.
Oh my goodness. There we go.
Holy shit! This dress is trying to fucking... You would think she'd figure it out. She'd be like, man, this dress sure is trying to kill me.
You notice how, like, when she holds the knife up, the dress is it kind of just circles.
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, her entire wardrobe is out to get her. How unfortunate. But I think the guy stepping behind, I think you're right that it was just another person trapped in the swamp that was like...
And he's a little paranoid just because he's been in there. He's like, I don't know. It's like, sure, the last two adventurers I tried to follow out of here beat me with sticks and told me to fuck off before they got et by the lightning sand, so screw them. Well, these two might make it.
As Wesley points out, you can live in the fire swamp. It's just not great. So maybe, like, yeah, that person's surviving, but they're like, I need someone else to get me out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there we go. Now we can kind of see.
Aha!
There we go. It's been slightly revealed, my Princess Bride glass. Okay.
So going back to that, not a crew member in the swamp, I would say that that's just another inhabitant of the fire swamp. Not in the terms of like it's another lost adventure or someone lost in the fire swamp. That's just another thing that lives there that just happens to be attracted to like flame. It's a scavenger. It's like, oh, something burned by the flame burst, or something got partially mostly.
There's dinner tonight.
Yeah, something got partially mauled by an ROUS. Oh, okay, whatever the rat doesn't eat, it's like, fresh.
I'm on board with that. Well, and not even on a creepy like Gollum level. It could just be like a fucking rogue like living in the swamp. Is like, I'll wait for some fucking like white bread chumps to roll through here, die, and I'll rob them blind.
Like, look, this swamp is level 6 at least, and you all are like 4
at
best.
So like, I'm just gonna sit here and you'll die, and I'll take
your reflex saves and your constitution and will saves ain't up to scratch. You all are kind of screwed.
Yeah.
But your gear is nice, so
exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, both their reflex saves. Well, no, Wesley's reflex saves are pretty good. Buttercup's are garbage. They are.
She has because she hasn't got that conditioning.
But it's all because of the dress. The dress has lowered all of her stats.
Yeah, she's wearing a cursed dress and she doesn't realize it. Fucking play some more, dumbass. Jesus.
So the scene where they storm the castle.
Yes.
And he's wearing a Holocaust cloak, and they're pushing him in the wheelbarrow. This I actually didn't find. I didn't find this. This is something I observed. I didn't see it on any of the mistake sites. But when they're pushing the wheelbarrow and they come up to like that small gate that opens up for them, there's actually a bar that goes across the gate that's like pre-broken, and then like the wheelbarrow like hits the gate, like slowly touches the gate, and it swings open. And I'm like, I never noticed that gate's supposed to be barred. Like, how is Inigo pushing Andre the Giant, carrying Wesley, and breaking a barred gate?
So I think that gate is made to be broken, not in a movie sense, but it's made to give you a false sense of security. Because basically, like, you're like, oh, this was the first line of defense. You'll push a little further, and now it's like, now you're fucked, right? So it's like that. It's literally there again, almost kind of going a gaslighting route. It's there to break on purpose to give you a false sense of confidence. Like, you're like...
See, I thought you were going with a decoy that it's supposed to look barred, but it's not really barred. Kind of like when people take the home security signs and put them in their front yard, but they really don't have shit.
Ooh, that's more Humperdinky, actually. Yeah, that's more like a... I'm not actually going to defend Mike, but I'll just...
a whole piece of wood, guys.
I'll put this sign out. It's
half,
fine. It's fine.
Sire, we need a whole piece of wood to cut in half. Listen, you're not listening to me. Get a piece of wood, cut in half, put it on there. I'm not going to lift off this piece of wood every time I want to go through a gate.
Yeah, you're right.
Why would I hire the additional, like, 20 to 30 men to enforce a gate of that stature when I could just put this rinky-dink gate up and just intimidate everyone with
by the way,
lined up nice even lines outside the front door?
Rinky-dink, Humperdink, I think they were telling us the answer right there.
Right there.
It's right fucking there.
Quick side question for both of you.
Have
either of you read the book?
Yes. The book is good.
I'm not done with it.
Well,
I have.
All right.
Well, so actually, technically, it depends on how you define read.
Have you absorbed the book in some way?
No, I know that's a weird way to say it, but it's a great audiobook. So I listened to the audiobook on a drive. So some people say that's not reading, so I've not physically read the book, but I've listened to the audiobook.
I'll accept that.
That's a whole separate conversation, but the intricacies there.
Yeah,
yes, I've listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is great. Like this, it's so well done.
Finished it.
I appreciate how meta it is, which, as an utterly unrelated thing, I just read House of Leaves, just finished House of Leaves. And House of Leaves was an aggressively difficult read because it's so meta. So I think, again, talking extremes, Princess Bride being a meta book is an amazing, super accessible, really fun meta book. And House of Leaves, while I still enjoyed it and I'm glad I read it, is the most difficult, complex, fucking up its own ass meta book. So I think it's House of Leaves and Princess Bride for extremes of meta books.
Very cool.
Okay.
In the castle, when Inigo fights the guards,
yes,
he dispatches them quite quickly.
You do.
But one of the guards, every time it cuts back, changes position.
Okay,
like he's dead, but he moves around.
I mean, just to steal an answer from earlier, I'm kind of going Fezzik route on this one. Like, would you want to fucking... No one wants to give their life for Humperdinck. The fucking guy gives up the gate key in 2 seconds. Humperdinck's a fucking chooch. So if these guys are red shirts, they're already kind of disposable. But B, it's like, Inigo fucking vaguely touched my torso with this sword. I'm taking a fucking dive, and I'm not doing this anymore. And like, maybe he was a little uncomfortable because like when you sleep weird, and it's like your fucking thing is like my arm's falling asleep. And I kind of want to scratch my balls, and it's driving me crazy. I could probably shift a little bit, and it's fine. That's all it was. And again, Inigo's revenge is entirely about the six-fingered man. He is not worried about these guards. He's not their deaths. Even the Humperdinck thing, like he doesn't give a fuck about Humperdinck. He wants to kill Count Rugen. So it's entirely likely that he did non-lethal strikes on all these dudes. All these dudes are like, close enough, boom, done fighting.
Like
they're
dude,
all.
I got an offer from Gilder to be a fucking gardener. Pays 3 times the amount. I don't have to carry a sword. I just dig up turnips once a season. Screw this. It's like, oh, all right. My ribs. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, you vaguely stab me in the side. So Purple Heart and college payment sounds good. Boop.
I'm going to go a slightly different route, and once again, I'm mashing movies. Not The Thing this time, though.
They can all be The Thing. That's fine, too.
Yeah. No, this is actually the living incarnation of Paul Rubens' character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
So are you saying all the guards... So it does happen at night. Are you claiming all the guards are vampires?
No, I'm saying that he took so long to die that a vampire came in and turned him into a vampire before he actually died.
Oh, that's right.
And then in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he's like, oh, maybe if I take really long to die this time, something else will come and make me not die again. But then he dies.
So I'm saying,
or that's the only way he knows how to die, since that's how he did it the last time. So it's like, oh, this is how everybody dies.
So I'm going to say that the guards who actually maybe were injured, like a rapier blade, it's like unless you hit like dead center in the heart or through the head, it's like you're going to be in pain, but you'll probably, with the right, if you get to Miracle Max's within the first 2 hours, you're probably in good shape.
You're only mostly dead. It's fine.
Yeah, you're going to be only mostly dead. So they're only mostly dead, so they're kind of flopping around, trying to look, if I can just not bleed out and drag myself to the village and get patched up, I am so out of here.
Well, it's like in Hero, right? Like when Jet Li knows just the way to stab people to miss all the organs, like to basically incapacitate them, but you're not going to kill them. Again, we've established Inigo is such a good swordsman that I think Inigo in this movie and Jet Li in Hero, I'd say that they're pretty equal. So I think he can stab these people in a way to incapacitate them, but avoid all major organs.
What would it take to actually have that Jet Li character square off against Indigo for like a deep fake duel? I kind of want that now.
I mean, Jet Li would kick his ass. Let's be honest.
I mean, no, there's no doubt in that, but it would be an entertaining
it's only because he doesn't have 6 fingers. I'm just saying.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
If Jet Li's had 6 fingers, Jet Li's going down.
So if you deep fake an extra finger onto Jet Li's nameless character in Hero,
he loses.
10
out of 10 times.
Fair. That's fair. Anything else you boys want to hit?
Okay, wait. We have to at least, if there's no mistakes, we have to at least bring up the iconic duo of this movie, Miracle Max and Valerie.
Billy Crystal and Carol Kane.
Yes, because look, everyone on the pop culture scale, everyone's like, okay, Harley Quinn and Joker relationship goals. No, that's a Stockholm Syndrome scenario playing out, long form. I want that in a relation. That is my relationship goal, is Miracle Max and Valerie, where it's like they can just ball bust each other 24/7, and at the end of the day,
it's okay.
It's like when friends leave your house, you're in the front door going, "You think they'll come back? It'll take a miracle. Goodbye."
So Melissa and I were recasting this movie, and casting a lot of Game of Thrones people. So like Pedro Pascal as Inigo, and
go on.
And the Mountain as Andre the Giant, stuff like that. But realize that you could still just do Billy Crystal and Carol Kane with less prosthetics at this point, and it still works out great.
Sillier wigs, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I will disagree with you slightly on Pedro Pascal. Phenomenal choice, but not my first. Diego Luna from Rogue One.
That's pretty fucking good.
That's a good one. I'm actually going slightly more comedy route, and Michael Pena.
Woo! Interesting.
Okay, so I want to see the audition tapes of all 3 of these people for Wesley or for Indigo. Apologies for Indigo. They can bring their own swords. I'm assuming they have swords.
I guarantee they all have swords. For some reason, they surely all have swords.
Watch Michael Pena show up with a fucking Conan sword, but do that same speech. I'm kind of on board.
Because you don't want them to redo the movie. You want to make it. No. You want them to make it their own. Right. So I'm thinking like Michael Pena for Inigo, and like Charlie Hunnam for Wesley.
Ooh, that's a really good Wesley, because we were struggling with Wesley. That's a fucking proper Wesley. Because we're like Ryan Reynolds, Wesley a funny, like Ryan Gosling maybe, but Charlie Hunnam's a fucking nice pick. That's a good pull, sir.
Gosling has the look, but when he tries to go intense, it's like he's a little too sociopathic.
Sure.
For that.
Love Charlie Hunnam. Good pull.
He's aged out just a little bit, where it's like, oh, he's trying to do The Notebook. Yeah, now it looks like The Notebook from Taxi Driver.
Now it's just a serial killer Notebook. It's fine. It's fine.
I just want to say, guys, thank you very much for having me.
Welcome.
I've been on, well, as soon as you edit the other one, this will be my third time. And we
second and a half.
You have hit 3 of my top 5 favorite movies, and I very much appreciate it. And thank you very much. I can't wait till you have me on again. If you have me on again, we'll see.
Okay, so no, I'm going to say this right now. I will speak for Ryan. Sorry, I'm going to just mute you for a second, Ryan. So we've done 3 out of your 5, you say?
Yeah.
So the next time we have you on, we have to just round out the list.
Fair.
Oh wow. Well, next on the list, on my.
Only give us one. Only give us one. No spoilers. Give us one. What's your next one?
Just one. Well, next one is Stranger Than Fiction.
Done.
Awesome.
Ooh, that'll be a fucking tough one.
A little bit.
Well, it's a tough one because it's there's so many. We can't take the easy route too often.
All right,
that's why it's going to be
house rule. Well, let's call this now, Andrew. When you come back and when we talk about Stranger Than Fiction +1, the house rule for Stranger Than Fiction is we cannot bitch out and just say, oh, it's an early draft and it's going to be fixed in the editing.
Fact.
Deal.
We're going to have to dig just a little deeper to make anything in that movie work.
And my I'm not saying, but my number 5 spot actually kind of switches out depending on what I've watched most recently.
That's
yeah. Fun game for me and Ryan. Our exercise. So we know one movie for you. Our exercise, me and Ryan, our mental exercise is to try to influence, to some degree,
to make it into my top 5.
Your top 5 by feeding you suggestions at random on Facebook.
I like it.
Okay.
Like nothing malicious and nothing where it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna hate this, but I want you to watch it anyways. No, like sincere, honest to goodness, like good movie choices that since we don't know what your 5th movie is, it's just like let's just see if we can push them towards a singular genre or a single.
I'm a
like
cinephile.
A category.
I'll do it. Heck yeah, man.
This is a good plan.
Because it's like, what else are we gonna do with this?
Right?
Corona lock-in, but try to influence our friends.
I'm
well, one of us still has a fucking Willow and Hackers to edit, but you guys can do whatever, I guess.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Anyway, so we have successfully proven that The Thing and Princess Bride are flawless movies, so thank you both for joining me. Until next time, remember, there are no mistakes, only missed takes. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.